the things that you want to avoid. And not because you have to, it's just because to that deep river, there's no right or wrong. It's just energy that is needing to be felt. And if you allow that to happen, you will find that you will tolerate it and you will survive. And that tolerating and the surviving in that place of grace is what will make you into the mountain. We cannot think our way into becoming a mountain. The only way to do that is to follow that deep river into all those places that you have wanted to run away from. And the tolerating it is, to me, whenever I have allowed myself to go someplace that is hard, whether it's a hard feeling or a hard whatever, but I've let that river guide me, not my mind. And it's, wow, this is kind of counterintuitive in some way. And I'm not just dog paddling at the surface, just trying to not look down, because down means I'm going to have to feel shit and I'm going to be taken by some river that if I really give myself to it, it will take me exactly where I'm supposed to go, but I'm terrified of that place that I might have to go, thinking I won't survive it, but I'll survive this. Each time you get taken to the place and you survive and you realize you're stronger, it's like Popeye eating spinach. You get so fortified and strong. And the ways that I can say that you're doing this is to watch your patterns that are things that are absolute, or things like, I won't do that because it will hurt somebody. I can't do that because I'll look bad. I can't do that because nobody even knows I exist. I can't do that because it might put somebody out. I can't, all the things. All your thingies. I'm not this, I'm not that. Whatever your things are. It's really important to start to notice these as signposts that say you're treading water. And like just familiar, repetitive things that are your thingies. Not that the thingies are wrong, but they're fantastic signposts to tell you that you're running. Does that make sense? So it's really important. This is why we take our refuge vow. The refuge vow is incredibly narcissistic. And it is meant to be very narcissistic, because we're really getting clear on, what do I do? We have to do the refuge vow first because it's about ourselves, so that we can take the bodhisattva vow, which is about everybody else, including ourselves. But we have to look at our own neurosis, and we have to look at the nature of mind and the way the mind works. Those are two very different things. The nature of mind is the clear, vast space. That's the nature of mind. The way the egoic mind works is what we're working on here. We have to see the cyclic nature of things. That is not personal. It's what we do as humans. It is essential that we get to know our own self, our own patterns, our specific neurotic patterns as a way to run. But we also have to know how the mind works in general. So we're doing both. We have to get to know ourselves through therapy, through our spiritual lives, but we also have to know how the mind works and eventually stop the self-improvement project. It doesn't mean we stop therapy, but we come at it from a different angle. Does that make sense? Why do we do that? And I'll be talking about this more tomorrow when I'm talking about the bodhisattva vow, but it's that we're learning how to be less afraid of groundlessness and less intimidated by the outer world. Right? The outer world is just constantly reflecting back what we're afraid of. And so the outer world is terrifying. And so it's teaching us how can we become less intimidated by it, and how are we less afraid by groundlessness. That is the path of our refuge, is learning how to be in groundlessness. And man, when you can learn that, we are a mountain. Because then anything can arise. Anything can arise. So we take our vows so that when our anger spills out, when we act out, how is it to work skillfully? How is it to relate when we act out? How is it to not act out and not repress? Where's that middle ground? Because most of the time we're doing one or the other. I hope that makes sense. And now I want to talk about what we're taking refuge in. Any questions about that so far? Okay. And Nyas Nin said, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. I love that quote. So, what are we taking refuge in? We're taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And the three jewels are not only external, they are internal. They are an external representation of the awakened qualities within us. I want to speak to each one right now. And when I speak to them, really see if you can just drop in and feel that quality of yourself or the importance of this quality. So when we take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge in the human example of him. Just an ordinary guy who saw through the deceptions of life and found the awakened state of mind by relating directly with what was around him and in him. The confusion, the chaos, the loss, he felt it as direct experience, and he didn't run. That was huge. He didn't run in the face of it, and he just kept experiencing things as they were, reality, not his overlay of them. He disciplined himself by working with his own mind, which was the source of all the confusion and the chaos. And that's what he realized. Life was being life, but his suffering came from his own mind. Instead of blaming anything externally, he worked on himself and attained enlightenment. And from that point, he worked with sentient beings to guide them in their own awakening. So he was not a god, but just an ordinary person like us. And we possess that same Buddha nature, that same enlightened intelligence, that same basic goodness. And to uncover that nature in us and to live it, that's our own personal journey. I can teach all day long, but we have to find that for ourselves. So we take refuge in the Buddha as a guide, not so much in his form, but rather in the awakened state of mind, which reminds us of our own awakened one. Our mind is awake. The nature of mind is there. Everybody has it. That's our Buddha nature. But to actually learn how to live that, to actually learn how to live in that deeper impulse, that's why we take refuge in that, because we have to keep coming back to our inherent wisdom. How do we do that? We stop. Just stop. When we're just treading water, trying to stay at the surface, just stop. And know you have everything you need. All the wisdom in you, even when you are completely confused, completely chaotic, completely lost. You have everything you need. But we have to stop long enough for us to be able to touch back into that quiet voice. We need a human guide. And we need a human guide in this life right now who's farther down the path than us. That represents, in some ways, that wisdom. That person who will teach us and inspire us, challenge us, support us, kick our ass when we're stuck. And hopefully I am representing that as best I can for you guys. But we take refuge in the Buddha in the sense of him as the teacher and our own wisdom, but also we take refuge in me. That I'm here to help you and guide you and to remind you of your sanity. So just feel that wisdom in you. You can do this. You have everything you need. Then we take refuge in the Dharma. The Dharma has been taught to be the truth. How we got so lucky to get these teachings. It's like, oh my God, they are gold. And it's not only the teachings from the Buddha, but it's the teachings from the earth. It's the teachings from life. It's all the teachings that are coming to us. If we look at it, everything is the Dharma, right? Everything that comes towards us. Everything, when we meet it in a certain way, is the Dharma, is the teaching, is the truth, right? Because the Dharma is the truth, meaning reality as it is. Everything that life is just being life, right? And so everything that comes is the opportunity to be able to take refuge in the Dharma. We can either look at it as a problem or we can look at it as a gift. Everything. We get to nirvana through samsara. We mean that it's nirvana, samsara, same thing, because anything that arises is the opportunity, no matter how much it hurts, especially if it hurts, to actually practice and be opened up by it. Everything then that comes along is a part of our discovery of our own awakening, and everything is considered sacred. No one's to blame. Nothing is seen as a punishment. Nothing is a waste of time. Everything is a part of the natural process: old age, sickness, death, loss, arguments with our loved ones, all of it. Places where we have hurt somebody, we don't want to do that, but we let that wake us up even more into our own heart. When we take refuge in the Dharma, it means that we learn how to work with what is in our life without fighting, but relating to it simply, directly, direct experience, slowing down, and before we do anything, dropping down and sensing the deep river of flow to know not what's the right thing to do, but what's the thing that life is taking us to. That's why we practice, because we don't know how to get down into that deep river, right? Our ego is way too strong. So we practice so that we know, when I'm really stressed out, if all I can do is just hold onto the saddle and wait till the trigger, my being hooked, passes, do that. That's awesome. But then we have to learn how to listen. And if it's the old, familiar story that comes up, I wouldn't trust that. The fearless warrior, we talked about it so much, strong back, soft heart. Strong back that won't turn away from anything, soft heart that will meet it with so much compassion and gentleness and love. So much about our refuge vow is about becoming completely who we are. And I've said this before, but I did not understand that. For so long, teachers would say that Buddhism, especially Tibetan Buddhism, but really all Buddhism, is about becoming fully, completely who you are. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm becoming who I am in my Buddha nature sense, or is it becoming my personality? And it's kind of both. It's being completely, totally authentic. And that means at every moment, being completely, totally authentic. There's such a scene in Boulder where it's like, I'm just being authentic. Mm-hmm. Authentic is not, that's my right because it's what's true for me, right? That's coming from up here. But that place of our authenticity about what is our nature, right? You talked about your Buddha nature. I talked about my karma nature last night. We have a way of being in the world, and we don't have to apologize for our thingies. We have to take responsibility for them. And we apologize when it's appropriate that we apologize for something. But it's more that there's a way that we become just more and more and more of just who we are. We just become who we are. And as we get older, thank God we're all older here, that gets easier and easier and easier, right? There's less of a veil there of impressing or whatever. And what I find is that as I got older, I got more introverted, and I allowed that to happen. I felt more stable in my wisdom. There's a sense of that sort of moving into that stability. Somebody walks in the room, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just totally neurotic about that. It's a breath of fresh air, right? Because they're not trying to hide something. No, I don't do that very well, right? I don't do that very well. It's just so nice to have that kind of authenticity and not be embarrassed about who we are. So it means taking refuge in who you are and trusting who you are. You're so beautiful. You're all so beautiful. And there's a way of, don't pretend that you're something else, but take responsibility for it. That's such an important thing. If we're stuck in a loop, I will be the first to stop you, right? I always stop you when you're in that kind of loopy thing. Just today, what are the things that you came across that you can think of right now and go, wow, that was super familiar? That storyline, that whatever. So taking refuge in the Dharma means taking refuge in something other than our old habitual patterns. All I can say is you gotta practice. You gotta practice to know this. So just take a moment and just feel into taking refuge in the Dharma. Make it super simple, guys. Don't complicate this. If I was going to say one word, it would be stop. Just stop. Just be here. And then to take refuge in the Sangha. May we really hold each other. May we guide each other. May we, really bring the attention to people when they're really, really stuck. May we not be afraid of hurting people. We do it with love, and we do it with kindness, and we do it with grace. But that if we are just always protecting everybody's feelings, that's just not the service of what the Sangha is. And this sense of being able to fully, completely be you, this is where we learn how to do it, is in environments that are safe like this and loving like this. The Sangha is your mirror of your wisdom and your neurosis. So one of the things that I'm often so impressed by in here is that we don't have to mirror a lot back to you because you catch things. And that's because you're being held in a circle of incredibly wise people. And you know when you're off base, right? You can be off base with people who aren't paying attention. But when you're in a circle like this, taking refuge in the Sangha means choose well who you spend time with in your day-to-day life. And I really mean this. Watch where you dilute your energy. It's not good for us. It's like drinking too much or smoking too much and feeling shitty about it, right? Be careful where you spend your time. You have very precious time on this planet. Be conscientious of where you decide to spend it. We are often motivated to stay in our neurosis, right? And there's certain people we dig being with because we like to do that, right? We want to just roll in our neurosis a little bit more. And I would say, I would look carefully at whether you want to take refuge in that Sangha. Sometimes, of course, it's fun to go for a hike or whatever, but really check in to see, how do I feel about that? I have gotten so fierce about who I spend my time with right now. I am ruthless about ending relationships right now. And I am ruthless about not wanting to spend my time with anybody that takes my life forward. So don't be shy. Reach out to me, but I will be fearless in saying I'm too tired or whatever. You guys are very different. You guys have permission to use me. And I'll be very honest about that, but don't be shy about that. This is important. That your true confidence is going to arise from the Dharma within you. Don't become too attached to me, to other teachers, or whatever. It is so important to know that it's not about us. It's about us just reflecting the mirror back to you that you already know. It is essential that you find the confidence to be your own teacher. Do not ever give your power away to a teacher. Never. It breaks my heart. And there may be other teachers that come when I'm dead. I hope they do. But be careful not to give your power away to anybody, any relationship, any teacher, any partner, anybody. Keep that here. Super important. As a refugee, we give up security, and we give up a sense of home ground, and we give up the sense of being special. And this is a hard one sometimes to swallow, because we have such an impulse to be special. We give up being special, having to stick out, having to be something unique. We give that up. And that starts to affect us more as we go into our bodhisattva vow, because we actually give ourselves in that way. To become special, we have to take something and create ground with it. You're all special and unique, but we have to give up our quest to be special. It's all an illusion anyway, but in becoming a refugee, we're no longer bound by the need for things to be secure or right or known. And as a refugee, it can be incredibly lonely. And taking a refuge vow, part of that is the willingness to be lonely. This is a very lonely path. This is why we're in Sangha. It's a solitary practice best done in groups, right? This group. It's a solitary practice. And so it's a lonely practice. So in that loneliness, there's no scapegoats, there's no saviors. we're like a ship that's leaving the harbor, that's going out to sea. And at some point we have to leave. We have to pull up our anchor and we have to leave the harbor. And that's what everybody is doing. Especially when I die. You will all have what you need. And I'm going to bother the hell out of you for eternity, so.
I just want to share it in a way as a mirroring that it is a testament for me of what this particular Sangha feels like. And you, Tori, that in the almost 30 years of studying and practicing Buddhism, today was the first day I actually totally got what it could mean to take refuge, and that in spite of other moments, that today it feels like a yes. The last few retreats, this one more than ever, it's just like, bam, we're here, you know, and that didn't happen overnight. And I think in the earlier years, you know, I think we did work some of our stuff out with each other, and now to feel so much love, I get chills saying that. That, I mean, the love that I feel in this retreat, I feel that every retreat, but we all we're here with it. We're just bringing it. I mean, I've never, in passing people, I'm seeing the joy. And being so close to death, that is the gift that you're giving us. It's like, oh my God, death is so present, and I feel so alive and grateful. So thank you guys. I just love you all so much.
Yay. Let this be the seed that you take out into the world. Oh, yeah.
Tor?
Yeah.
Annoyance has been a real theme of mine over the last year. And the song has been really great for working that. And, you know, it's like, in so many sort of, I don't know, being on retreat and really having nowhere to go because we're all just sort of packed in here, I don't know, I just feel how ludicrous all of the things that seem irritating are. And so now it's sort of like the love and appreciation I feel for everyone, and the annoyance all feels like the same thing, which reminds me of sort of in the refuge vow, stepping into both Buddha nature and your neurotic nature all at the same time. It feels like it feels very similar. Like really appreciating and loving all my own and everyone else's foibles and their things. I don't know how much sense that makes.
It totally makes sense. Everything that arises has its wisdom and neurotic nature, but you're taking it a little bit farther and saying, so like your annoyance on one level is your brilliance, because you have a radar that is very dialed into bullshit, and that's your brilliance. But your annoyance is also what keeps you stuck, because you want things to go a certain way and they don't go the way you want. And so you get annoyed easily from it. But if you use that thing to your benefit, that's will make you the best teacher that you could possibly be. Really watch where you're not getting your way. As soon as it goes into that, when it's not, you're not getting your way, then you do what you're doing right now, which is this sense of just loving. You have to be careful that you don't keep projecting that what you're being annoyed by is them. They are reflecting something that's coming up or that's arising inside of you that is bringing annoyance here. You have to be really careful. So that's a great signpost. If I'm annoyed about what somebody else is doing, what is happening actually here? I want to be in control. I want to, whatever. I want things to go my way. That's stupid. Why are they doing that? You know, we should be sitting more. We should be sitting less. We should be doing that. We should be doing that, right? There's some idea of what is the right path. And more what I want to say to you in particular is, what is it like to actually let life unfold? Really let it unfold, especially when you come on retreat. Because it's going to go pretty much the way you want, kind of. But there's going to be all these places where, of course, we want it to be different.
Well, and that's particularly true to this retreat. Yeah. I mean, like, yesterday it was really a blessing. And this whole thing continues to be with all of this. Like, okay, now let's take a test and see what the fuck happens now. Jesus.
I know, seriously.
I got such a ride out of that.
I did too. I know, it was such a movie theme. It's such a movie. And they were in the lodge, and they found out 3 people had COVID, but they didn't know who had it.
I know.
Is that the surprise you're going to tell us?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was delighted to have nobody come to my room, so I'm figuring everybody was negative. Anyway, thank you for that. It's great. Yeah. We have time for just one more.
Tori, this keeps coming up for me, like when meditating and you first sit down and you've got a while. Sometimes it's hard to, I mean, there's just stuff that comes up, distractions,
Yeah.
whatever. But at the very end, you know, it's so much easier to focus.
I
Just,
know.
like, nail it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, does anybody else? I certainly have that. Oh my God.
It's
What?
just so clear, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Here you are
Yeah. Yeah. At the end.
at the end.
Right. Totally. And I'll tell you, it's just like all that's happening. Same exact thing. All the things that we practice. I really just don't think we can get this until we're given a diagnosis like that, because I just think evolutionarily it would be ridiculous for us to get it. So I think there's some part of us that just goes, I can hear all day long that I'm going to die, but I don't really get it. But I would say, I notice that inside myself, that at the end of a set, there's just like this, often it's just like total surrender at the very end. And it's because I know relief might be coming, right? So I'm going to put everything into it, right? I'm going to put everything in. I'm going to totally just give everything I have to it. That's bullshit, right? We all do it. Oh, I do it. I know you've talked to me about it. I don't do it all the time, but I notice that I do it at times. And it's usually after I've had an incredibly painful sit. It's when I just totally go so into direct experience. I just experience with nothing else. And part of it is because I know I'm going to have relief. But I would say the more you can do that earlier on, the better. There's a little bit of staying up here. Go right into the heart of it. Just surrender. So my challenge to you is next time we sit, make a commitment that you're going to practice as if it's about to end at any second.
Yeah. It feels like we're at the end of something here with you, and I feel so in it here.
Mm-hmm.
Just really in it. And
Yeah.
you know, am I in or am I out? I'm in. But
Yeah. Great.
for this long, because
Yeah, and I may fool you and live for another 5 years. Yeah. No, I hear you. So that's great. So learn about that and take it with you to the next thing and next thing. One of the things that I notice is that people will come and they will say, well, I really noticed this, that I do this, and then they just keep doing it. Right? And it's like, that's why we take our refuge vow. That's the commitment we're making, is to not just keep doing it, but to actually be curious and to explore and take chances. And you still may find that you do it at the end of every set, you nail it. But see what it's like. Maybe in reality, you're nailing it the whole entire set. That's just another way of nailing it. But see what it's like to actually have the idea that the set's about to end. Yeah, so take that idea home. Isn't it interesting, though, we just put another name to it and a whole nother take about it, and we can relax. not a problem.